trying to set up.
Sorry, Tavis.
You're fine. I know, everyone just heard that because you're sitting freaking 5 feet away from me.
Oh gosh. So, anyways, Tavis will take over for police since Nick's trying to set something up so Floppy can come and be a part of this meeting. Okay? Well, hope Cretus gets feeling better then. So we'll have Tavis and Nick take over right now.
I guess we can talk about applications. I believe they're still open. Let me double check. I know we're really trying to talk about applications. European time zone players, and I believe our current group of cadets, or the last cadets, are usually around European time. Still open. Let me double check. So you should see a little bit of an influx of European. I know we're really trying to talk about applications. European time zone players, and I believe our current group of cadets, let's see, or the last cadets, are usually around European time. Still open. Let me double check. So you should see a little bit of an influx. There you go. Leave it up to the one that actually looks through applications. So yeah, once we get some more people up to officer, where we can actually have free time for the FTOs to actually start doing the academy again, we'll be able to do it, or go through the applications again. Cause yeah, there are at least 10. So yeah. Once we get some more people up to officer, where we can actually have free time for the FTOs to actually start doing the academy again, we'll be able to do it, or go through the applications again. Cause yeah, there are at least 10. But I can't say in a lot of our trainings and such like that with cadets and other officers, even higher ups, we're trying to give you guys the best RP possible. I know some are, not quite there yet. Some are there. Some have different mindsets of what our cop RP is, and some don't. We're trying to make it, fair and fun for everybody. I know some are, not quite there yet. Some are there. And we've been practicing a lot with the roleplay aspect of all that. Our cop RP is, and some don't. We're trying to make it, fair and fun for everybody. Okay, did I see that? Oh. Thank you, Avalon. I will send that over. Practicing a lot with the roleplay aspect of all that. Okay, did I see that? Oh. Thank you, Avalon. I will send that over. Other than that, I'm not too sure on LAO's side.
Right, I've sent Flop the link, so as soon as he sees it, he should be able to listen in.
That, I'm not too sure on LAO's side. Do you have anything about LEO, possibly?
I don't even know what you actually said. So
yeah.
I heard you saying about the roleplay, and yeah, like it's something we're always working on.
And I'm sure we'll be answering more LEO questions when they come about in the response page. So I guess we're done temporarily right now for that. So whatever's next. And I'm sure we'll be answering more.
Well, Creighton showed up about 5 minutes late. Oh no.
Hey, now it said 8 p.m.
I've covered the.
And
That's what Morgan thought.
I've covered the issues we've had here, but there may be something that Creighton wants to address outside of the issues that are or the points that we've got here.
Said 8 p.m. And so, if anybody has any specific things that they want to address, that want me to address them, I guess they can talk in the chat box, and I can specifically address them.
Creighton, you got the links I sent you, right?
That want me to address? Sure.
User in your channel is recording. User in your channel.
Okay, I'll take that as a no.
I think I did. Hold on. I gotta go check. I haven't looked at any of this all day.
Okay.
I'm a great head admin, right, guys?
As far as I know that was actually something brought up on the feedback sheet. And I wanted to touch on that, and it relates to why Creighton said 8 p.m. And I made a post earlier today about it. The new calendar tab. One of the awesome things about it is it does auto adjust the time to your time zone. So as long as you have your correct time zone set and you look at that to find out when these things are happening, it will give you the correct time for your specific time zone. Somebody said, why do we give less than a day's notice for when meetings are happening? I announced that this meeting would take place today in the last community meeting because of Mother's Day. Community meetings will usually happen on the second Sunday of each month. This month it was bumped up a Sunday because of Mother's Day next week. And so I did announce it in the last community meeting. I also announced it in the focus meeting 2 weeks ago, and posted it on the calendar that same time, and have shared about the calendar feature. But that was poor on my part. Again, these jobs are volunteer, and so making announcements and stuff like that get difficult. Try to do our best. I will always post these things on the calendar though, so if you can check the calendar and be aware of what's going on that way, it will help you guys, especially for knowing what time these things are going to be at, as well as, you know, if we can't make an announcement until, 24, 48 hours before. But we do try and do our best, so there's that. Creighton, did you see the links now?
Yeah, I got them.
Okay.
You did send them to me. I just didn't look at my PMs. The only thing that I wanted to address is that we are going to be looking to bring on more admin or more staff members to look at, or just more staff members in general. I've got a couple planned promotions that will be taking place within the next week or so. Due to some situations, I'm sure Nick has already covered this, we've implemented a new policy for reviewing of player reports, where we will physically have two different sets of eyes looking at these player reports, and they will discuss it and come to a conclusion. If they can't, they will bring in a third. You will not physically be able to see it, but we have a tracking method that will identify those people who are looking at the reports and what conclusions they come to. So we've changed that up just a little bit, because I know we've had a lot of feedback, some people claiming that it's a biased player report because only one person looked at it. So we've changed that. It's now two. Third one, if a third one needs to get involved. And then I'm looking at other methods on how we can properly weed and kind of get better with our player reports. That's the only thing that we've come up with since our last community meeting. But I'm always looking to change things around and make it as fair as possible. I'll say as fair as possible, just in the fact that it's not just one person handling a report, or it's not just, one person doing this banning process. We all actively look at it. On the back end, we all actively chat about it, especially if there's something that that might be a little bit controversial about it, or maybe along the lines, it's usually not just one person looking at it and making a decision on it. they're querying other people, they're talking to other people. We're now just making it a little bit more official in the sense that 2 different people's names are going to go down on the report as having verified and talked about it. A third if they can't decide. If it's particularly sensitive report, we can definitely have a senior or head admin look at it, especially because I know the rules for some things are a little bit borderline. I know I recently reopened a report due to this fact. We are looking to make the rules a bit better in the sense that they're not borderline. I know there's a couple there that don't conform with the features that we specifically have now that when the rules were made weren't there. So I'm going to be working with Nick to change up the rules to now reflect the features that we have and reflect and aren't contradictory to what we have in game and what the rules state. That's it from my point of view.
Thank you, Creighton. I appreciate you giving your input on that as well. It really helps knowing what we want for the server, what is expected, and how things are going there. So thank you. Not that Cleo didn't do a good job too, but yeah. Do we have confirmation that Cleo, or not Cleo, Floppy is listening? Do we know if he's here?
If somebody is streaming, he is probably listening.
Yeah, he hasn't replied to my message,
Yeah.
but I have one viewer, and he's the only one I've
sent
sent the link to. So,
okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Because we will need we'll need him to be able to reply as we ask these questions. So, Floppy, if you're listening, please type in one of their comment sections. Otherwise, I went over calendars and events. There was the change to bios. I went over, as you guys saw. I just wanted to throw out another reminder to people that it should be 1 bio per character. I'm still seeing a lot of multiple characters as new bio entries on 1 bio. We would really like for each character to have a separate bio. So please try to remember that. Please edit what you have so that each character has their own bio. If you would like a bio entry private, please contact our support who can do that for you. And then if there are any problems or concerns, or you get warnings or bans, your bio will be asked to be updated to 300 words. And if you're new, you will have also had to have created a 300-word bio. So anything that was already there and 100 words is fine unless you get warnings or bans, or there seems to be a problem or concern with your character. And then that is up to our moderators and admins to decide if they feel your bio needs to be increased. Oh, I see a Rob Boss on cell. Can Rob Boss talk? Maybe?
Yeah, I can. Vaguely. Did I talk?
Yes, you did talk. Do you have anything for development on your side?
I don't have anything for myself. I've actually been busy. I got a new job, doing a lot of outdoorsy stuff. I'm just here because this was going on. Yeah, I don't have anything myself. I haven't actually even, I've been in game maybe 3 hours over the last 2 weeks. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, I haven't actually even like I've been in the game maybe 3 hours over the last 2 weeks. Also, I'm really glad I'm on push to talk and not voice activated because holy crap, I just kicked something in this world. Also, I'm really glad I'm on push to talk and not.
I have no idea what he just said. Basically, all right. Thanks, Rob.
He swears a lot, and your virgin ears would have hurt if he didn't have push to talk.
Oh, blah blah.
Yeah.
That's Rob.
All right. Anything
yeah.
from Floppy yet? Because otherwise, that is everything except for from Floppy. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with these questions and read them off. And
share one more time?
Yeah. And staff, if you have comments to share, please feel free. Go from there. And if Floppy can hear us, feel free to reply. All right. So to begin, I feel that instead of nerfing trucking even more, the other legal jobs should be buffed to be near that level to promote people doing other jobs. I personally feel that the legal jobs pay too little, and that's why they push people into mass tow trucking and mass trucking. Also, team legal jobs is a neat idea too. It's Any comments on this one?
What do they mean by team legal jobs? Doesn't your passenger get paid too? What do they mean by team legal jobs? Can't something like farming be a team effort as well, or only the driver? What? I thought passengers getting paid too now.
I mean, if you put the right RP into it, anything can be a team job. If you go out hunting, one can be the hunter, one can be the cooker, one can be the tree gatherer. Again, from what I've said several times before, it doesn't take game mechanics to be able to do stuff. Again, from what I've said several times before, it doesn't take game mechanics to be able to do stuff.
Alrighty. Next. There seems to be a huge amount of cop baiting going on and not a lot of enforcement of the rules against it. For the lot of us here to build a story, the constant police chases down Legion, triggering every safe alarm without robbing the RDMs is really making things hard. Is there any specific reason we do not have more aggressive consequence for the blatant behavior when it's one of the first rules you agree upon before joining the server?
And people wonder why they feel like it's a cop state. Because we're trying to stop all of that.
I mean, I could give a quick answer to that too. It's that from what I've seen, it's people not reporting it enough. Like it's the same thing with bugs. If you don't report it, it's not going to get dealt with. same thing with bugs. If you don't report it, it's not going to get dealt with.
Yes, it does need to be enforced a lot more. It's just really difficult because as cops, we have to just keep going with it. We can't stop roleplay. We can't, turn into moderators. Yes, it does need to be enforced a lot more. It's just really difficult because as cops, when they see it so much, they feel like it's, really hard to take care of because there's so much of it going on. So basically, if you see cops getting cop baited, it's not only cops only thinking they're getting cop baited. If you see people talking about let's just rile up cops, things like that, yeah, that's cop baiting. I mean, if you hear of that, if you see it, you can report it too. If you see people talking about let's just rile up cops, things like that, yeah, that's cop baiting. I mean, if you hear of that, if you see it, you can report it too. And yes, you don't need to be involved to submit the report. If you see it, report it. And yes, you don't need to be involved to submit the report. If you see it, report it. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. The way things are in the city now, it's turning into a cop city more and more. The development team keep giving cops more mechanics to use and better cars, yet both civilians and EMS receive nothing to balance this. Rob once said, "You don't need mechanics to RP, yet more mechanics are put in for the cops." It feels like the stuff that is implemented for the cops is for personal gain since, yeah.
Wait. What was the last feature for cops? Besides the
Skins on your
DNA thing,
cars.
because the DNA thing is civilians too. They want it like if with this new is that it? Yeah, with this mechanic, I mean, it promotes more role play for civilians and cops. Cops can do more investigating. Uh, yeah, and I was trying to think what was the last feature was added compared to civilians. Because
The last thing I actually added for cops, the last things we added for cops, I finished up which they can't even notice it, so that the police can police the police, so that there's not too many officers on, was an officer roster. I think that was actually the last thing I did put on for police. Yes, the PD cars got an upgrade or an overhaul, but that also came with what 15, 20 new civ vehicles that were put in. I mean, like and then on top of that, the proprietor system, like all that kind of stuff.
I'm going to say this when it comes to cop car speeds. The cops don't control how fast their car speeds go. Devs and the staff team look at it and make sure that the car's speed is relative to available civ car speed.
Yeah, we don't really have fast cars.
When I'm working on vehicle handling, vehicle speed, I try to get the PD vehicles as realistic as possible. With the fact that, the Impala, I mean, a police Impala would do, I think it maxes out at about 160, which is actually above. But, you go and steal a Jester from a local, and even the Mustang isn't going to touch it.
That goes what, 300?
Hell. Yeah, hell, even the helicopter isn't going to match the Jester.
Yeah, even our fastest vehicle can't keep up with lots of civilian vehicles.
Yeah, hell, even the helicopter isn't going to match the Jester.
Yeah, even our fastest vehicle can't keep up with lots of civilian vehicles. But no, as far as I know, just cop things have been being fixed. Other than that, new features, there hasn't really been any, except this whole DNA thing. But that's for both sides, and it will help with RP.
Fix my Explorer. But remember, Rob is but one Rob. We don't have multiple Robs. We have one Rob. He is doing an amazing job as he is now, and with, all of us have real life stuff happening, so not everything can get addressed in a timely manner, and that's just how it is, especially when you have a small development team like we have. I was largely unavailable for a month because I moved halfway across the country and got a new job, and I have not had as much time as I should be. I am now successfully moved and now have more time, but it's still limited time. Like all of us have, is limited time because we all have real lives, we all have jobs. One person is just one person. We don't have paid devs, although we'd love to do it. We just don't. So if it's small things, if it's big things, it might take a while just because of the size of our development team and the availability of a lot of our team. But there is a laundry list of things that devs want to working on in pieces, and will try to get out when they possibly can.
So here's an example for the vehicles, and I'm sure we've already moved on from that topic, but I'm not watching chat. To modify a vehicle's handling, I have to change like 1/1000th of a value, so like a 0.001, and completely restart my server, clear all the cache, restart my game. Like, to change it 1/1000th of a value and test to see if that value took proper what I wanted it to do and it's in the right direction, it takes a good 10 minutes to get everything said and done. So the handling stuff, it's not a quick task. Well, it's an easy task, but it's not a quick task by any means. And going on what Crayon was saying about real life stuff, like right now I'm working on my Jeep. I just got a call from work saying they might need me. So I've definitely got other stuff I'm doing right now. And like, it's 30 degrees Celsius out and I'm not going to waste this on the computer.
I do want to say one thing. I know for a fact, officers or LEO are not favored by any developers. If anything, we try so hard to kind of make them more, up there, but it won't happen. Like, we can't run faster than you guys. We're not stronger or anything like that. And you all have that ability to do all that. But like I said, we're trying to roleplay the best we can with what we have. In a real life situation, cops will have the upper hand every time, but we don't want to be like that. So we're trying our best to keep it balanced.
All right, since we're kind of on the topic of PD, I just wanted to go over some of the other PD ones really fast. First one, the discrimination between PD and crim valuing life. Criminals show zero fear when being chased by PD with guns aimed at them because they are a criminal and have... I don't know what was said. However, PD is expected to surrender and not defend themselves or disarm when a crim points a gun at them. And so there's this imbalance of valuing life between criminals and PD. If we are a realistic server, you should always expect your life to end. Perma.
So I touched on that from admin side, where I did say that we have been lax. We've been giving people the chance to RP if it comes to it, and this stuff needs to get reported and dealt with because people can't do it RP themselves properly. Then that's what will happen. So if cops, if people do this to you, and you're recording, go ahead and either have contact a member of staff if you'd like to, have a word with them, tell them so they know what they're doing wrong, or put it in a play report, then we can look at it and deal with it.
I feel all of us, of course, would prefer roleplay over roleplay. So, I mean, please send up to that higher expectation of roleplay. Like, we have these rules in place just to make things fair, and help promote this kind of server that's expected. But, it really comes down to you guys, like the people who are here in the community. And I think we can all be and do better.
User in your channel is recording.
Any comments on that? Any other comments? Any comments on that?
Basically, we're just gonna have to crack down on it a lot more if that's the answer. Basically, we're just gonna have to crack down on it a lot more if that's the answer.
All right.
Like, yeah, I do see it a lot where cops are held behind by a lot of rules and stuff. And if we were more lenient on it, I think people would hate us more. But we're held back by a lot of rules and regulations, and so I don't know where I'm going with this. We're held back by a lot of rules and regulations, and so it's just disheartening to see how we're tied back so much, and criminals and such know this and take advantage of it. They know
Basically, our SOPs state or give us a massive anchor that disallows us from, I wouldn't say furthering RP, but allowing us to have our own addition to the RP that's going on, I guess, I think is what Tavis is trying to say. And, as PD, we're supposed to be support characters. We're not supposed to be, part of the story. So if your story is that you're going to take us hostage, basically, we have to RP it out and almost allow it to happen. So if your story is that you're going to take us hostage, basically, we have to RP it out and almost allow it to happen.
All right.
And yes, it is true. We're trying to do our best. I'm trying to show examples, trying to steer cops in the right direction of what we want envisioned. It's just really difficult though with how busy the server can get and how much we cannot do because we have to be everywhere at once. We would love to roleplay our injuries. We would love to have thorough hour-long investigations, but currently it's just not possible. But we're trying. We would love to roleplay our injuries. We would love to have thorough hour-long investigations, but currently it's just not possible.
All right. Next one. Very similar to the other ones I just read. Lately it's been more of a cop server. Everything caters to PD. When's this going to stop exactly? If PD can't catch someone or something happens that PD doesn't like, something gets implemented quickly that helps them in some way, or a rule is placed to stop something from happening again. PD has so much stuff at their disposal, it's crazy. CDS complaints, shots fired, locations on their GPS, locked gates so that personal vehicles don't get chopped, suspicious activity alerts. What do civs have? Nothing. LOL. We don't get alerts for anything. We sure can't hear PD radio, even though realistically someone can legally listen to PD radio using a police scanner. I'm sure there are a number of things that civs could realistically have that we don't have. It's become a server for only cops, in my opinion. It's bad enough they get paid a lot and are able to already buy apartments. A group of us had to put our money together to buy one apartment, and every single time something in the server is making too much money, it gets nerfed. Money shouldn't be the main thing in the server. A lot of RP over making money, so it's harder for us. This is an RP server, right? So how come it's a grinding simulator yet again?
I mean, the first apartments were bought by civs. The first stores were bought by civs. So
First Super was bought by Civ.
I just want to say this as a cop that spent his entire time on duty to afford the licenses. And believe me, I didn't make a whole lot. Civs had cars before me. Not only that, you guys also had access to Go Postal and trucking, which you all knew was broken and said nothing.
and mountain lion hunting and coyote hunting. If all you think this is a grinding simulator, then I mean, sorry to be so brass, but step up your RP game.
Also, when it comes to pay, we spend the entire 6 hours on duty chasing CDS complaints, shots fired, we get shot, we go to bank robberies. We don't get time to stop and like RP situations out. Like a lot of us have backstories that no one knows about because it's been 6 months of just being on duty every single day.
Plus all the hours we put in not in game. Trainings, meetings.
And yeah, there was a pay rate increase, but that's to counteract the fact that if we're in the city, we're not going to go off duty. 95% of my time has been on duty. 95% of any officer's time is on duty. We can barely afford licenses by the end of the month, let alone the food, the water, plus handing out, RPing out, giving tips to tow truck drivers, to Good Samaritans, stuff like that. And then on top of that, getting a car, getting a house, that kind of stuff. Like before, again, being brass, before you make a comment on something, try and look into what the actual details are.
Yeah.
On the side of radios, in the U.S., there are counties that actually do encrypt their radios. I believe there's a couple in California that have encrypted radios that you can't actively listen in on. For the time being, with the radio plugin and everything, that is the way we're playing it, is that they're just encrypted. And I'm sorry you can't listen in on all of our conversations, but that's just how it's going to be for at least right now. I know it was a bit better in Arma where you could actually pick a radio frequency and hope that the criminals don't get a handle on it, but that's how it's going to be for right now. As for rules, we only add rules when things become problems. We don't add rules just because one side has a different advantage over the other. It's when it starts to become a problem, people start exploiting that something that has to do with something, and we have to put a rule in place. They're always discussed. They're always looked at both sides. If you have a problem with a rule, I would highly advise you to go on the forums, either in the anonymous section or in a public section and tell us what you want changed. And we will go back and look at it and see if we can't reword the rule differently, if it does actually maybe give one side a different advantage over the other. We're open to seeing that. We just need to know what the specific rules you're complaining about, and we can take a look at them. On the other hand, like what I said, PD is heavily restricted on SOPs and what we're actively allowed to engage in. It actually is kind of unfair that we can't do all that we want to do. And to kind of close it out, I've noticed, and it had been a problem in the past, and then we fixed it, and now it's becoming a problem again. Don't spam rob places. Every time you click that button, it alerts PD, and if you start spamming people and the robberies, it becomes a problem where I'm just going to go ahead and remove you from the server, because it actively hurts the server, plus you're spamming cops. I noticed yesterday somebody spammed it about 20 times in a row, and all you hear is the alert sound going off. You hit it once. Sure, I can understand if it's a second time just because you don't know if you hit it properly, but not 20 times, not 5, not 10, 2 max.
And in addition to the spamming the button, like, not only is it essentially, short and sweet, it's cop baiting, but it takes away from not just our RP, but it takes away from, if it's a busy night, it takes away from a lot of people's RP, because, we can't further that investigation because we have to go respond to this. Like, I don't know about the other officers, but what I've been trying to do is, if I'm involved in a situation or there's a big situation going on, I actively tell people, don't bother about this little store that's being robbed. Like, just move on. Unless it's Grove Street, then fucking all units respond. No, I'm just kidding. By the way,
so going back to what was just said, yes, you can only hit it once, but that still doesn't mean that we don't get an alert when you press the button. It still says that you attempted to rob the place, and we still get those alerts. So it's the same thing even if you're spamming it.
And on top of alerts, of course, cops are getting alerts for shots fired or robberies, or it's just what? That's just how it is.
By the way, the shots fired alert has been changed, where instead of the system I built was one that gives it the exact location right at the time it was shot. The one Floppy did up was it's modified where it's a random location within a 2-block radius, and it's, I think, a 5 or 10 second delay. So, like, I've myself heard people on the radio say, and I've heard myself, you can hear the shots fired, and then 10 seconds later, shot will come up, at this location. Or I've even done it myself where I've, discharged on Vespucci and Strawberry, and it says shot fired on Center Street right in front of PD. Like, no, that definitely wasn't it. So when it comes to that, yeah, we have that, but it's no different than, like, think about it. You're in a city of millions. Someone's going to report a shot fired.
Someone's going to call on you if you're trying to sell drugs to them and they're completely have no idea who you are. I mean, that's how it is. If cops didn't have any alerts, what's the point of us being there? Just to sit on the side of the road and do traffic stops, I guess. That's how it is. If cops didn't have any alerts, what's the point of us being there? And like I said, we do try to keep it balanced.
I don't understand this question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to go on to not to make this longer, but to go on to the whole traffic stop thing that Tavis was talking about, if you want better RP, then do better RP when it comes to traffic stops. Like, I don't know how many times I've pulled someone over for either going like 60 in a 45 or running a red light, and all of a sudden they're in a police chase or shooting at me. It's like, dude, you were going to get a freaking speeding ticket. We could RP out that your stolen car is a rented car. Like, come on. Where is the realism in that?
See, we'd like to be able to do undercover, drug buys, stuff like that, but we can't. There's too much going on of robberies, car chases, shootings, what have you, that we can't take a team of people and dedicate some time to actually do a drug deal. That takes time. That takes a lot of time. That takes informants. That takes setting up deals, getting officers ready. And if we're pulling 2, 3, 4 officers to be able to do a drug sting, those are 2, 3, 4 officers that if there's a 1080 happening, if there's somebody robbing the bank, their time can be better served. We'd like to do it, but it also takes a point on the civilians to actively want to do the RP better than just running around and doing bank robberies, than just running around and hitting store after store. A lot of people will hit a store, make the alarm go off, and run away. Don't even try to rob the place. They'll just run away. And that takes resources because a cop will be dispatched. A cop will go and check it out. That is 1, 2 cops that are going to a general store to check it out, which can be taken away from doing something else. And if you're doing it 2, 3, 4 times within an hour, it's taking a lot of resources away. So if you're going to do a robbery, make it a robbery. Negotiate. Stick around. Do something else. But if you're just hitting and running, then that takes a lot of resources. Plus, it fatigues the cops. Enormously, it fatigues the cops because they're like, oh, is this going to be just another false report? Or am I actually going to RP? And 99% of the time, it's just a false report.
Well, and the other thing is, too, is that when the person that asked the question says, or made the statement says, whenever something happens to PD and they lose, there's all of a sudden a feature implemented, blah, blah, blah. Well, when it comes to these false robberies that happen all the time, yeah, it's going to be a game mechanic because, I mean, realistically, you go into a 7-Eleven, if someone goes into a 7-Eleven and robs it, they're going to be shut down for a little while there's an investigation going on, or, you know, some other general store. They're going to be shut down a while. So why wouldn't it be where, you know, at the time right now, 2 people could, you know, exploit the system, go in and rob the store separately, and both get away with the money. So, I mean, you've got that right now. You've got free reign on that right now. Don't abuse it to a point where, like, I will go in and make a game mechanic that, you know, you can only rob a place once a storm or once every 10 minutes. Like, I already did that with the proprietor system specifically because that's cash that's not automatic, or like, that's cash that is, I guess you could say, earned. It's not just coming out of thin air like, you know, robbing the bank would be. So that's why I made that feature on there, so that you can only rob it once. Otherwise, you're going to drain the whole bank, and whoever owns the store is going to be SOL. But basically what I'm getting at is, if you abuse systems, mechanics become in place so that you can no longer abuse them.
So this all boils down to one thing. Get what you want. Or give, sorry, can't talk today. Give what you want in roleplay. If you take the time to actually roleplay with somebody, whether it be a cop, whether it be an EMS, whether it be another civilian, they're going to, in most part, give you the same level of RP back. Make a traffic stop interesting. Make it, you know, draw out the whole situation. Don't just say, well, here's my, you know, paperwork, you know, just give me the ticket and let me go. Those types of RP experiences are what's going to ruin it for both sides. If I walk up and, you know, it's just a traffic stop and you're sure there's a level of RP in there where you can, you know, be a hard ass, but if you're just being a hard ass saying, just give me the ticket, here's all my stuff, and you're just not wanting to RP at all with the situation, I'm just going to give you the ticket and let you go. I'm not going to RP it out. I'm not going to sit, you know, doing my searches. I'm not going to kind of walk around your car, maybe order a K9 unit. No, I'm just going to let you go because you've shown me that you don't want to RP with me.
It has been mentioned a couple times.
Sorry, guys.
That it does burn cops and EMS out when we're not allowed to RP. You know,
User in
like
your channel is
with
recording.
EMS, when people don't allow to RP with injuries and stuff like that, they're like, just heal me, let's get this over with, just let me go. You know, a lot of EMS is just doing, you know, that, like, that is their lifers, you know, and that's what they do, and that's all the RP that they get sometimes. It's been mentioned before that PD doesn't clock out very often, and so cop RP is all the RP they get, even though they have these backstories and would love to RP regular stuff. That's all they get, and so it does come down again to, this is an RP server, and they want that RP. They get frustrated when they're leaving an actual RP situation for a bank robbery just to not get any RP out of it. Like, that is very discouraging and frustrating, but it happens a lot. And they run from robbery to robbery and not get any real good RP interaction out of it. You know, and they have to leave the good stuff to come and do more monotonous, you know, stuff. So if you're gonna do it, put some RP into it. That's all they're asking. And so, yeah, that was my 2 bits I wanted to say.
So just
User in your channel is recording.
okay. So just my last bit on this. Like I myself, I no longer even try to chase down CDS complaints much anymore, just because I know that people are, as far as I know, abusing the system where they go start a sale and then jump in their car and leave again before it's even done. Now, I don't know if this is still a thing or not, but all I know is that 99.9% of CDS complaints we go to, there is literally nobody there. That is one of the frustrations about, you know, all these ghost robberies and ghost CDS complaints. It's like, I mean, it ruins the fun. Just all out. It just ruins the fun.
Yeah, I used to love going to CS complaints and trying to search for people. Not anymore, because no one's ever there.
Yeah, by the time we get there, there's one on like halfway across the city already. It's like, why even bother? Yeah, by the time we get there, there's one on like halfway across the city already. It's like, why even bother?
Right, Cody, but the way it used to be, I guess it's been fixed from what I was just told, but we'll see. It's true, and that's fine, the way that happens, watch outs and stuff, but currently people buy and then leave before they even make the sell. And that's true, we just roleplay, that's all we want, roleplay. I think everybody here wants, you know, appropriate roleplay.
As far as the last little bit, about grinding simulator, I mean, I've been trying really hard to not make it that, and I think things have been moving in the right direction, but that may just be me.
With the new economy, a lot of things changed in terms of not only sales but purchases, and that came with the new item system. It's not easy doing a new economy and balancing out. Like, I was watching Coil stream the other day, and in order to get their economy somewhat settled, they did 3 or 4 resets within a 2-week period, just so that they could test, see how things were, reset it, adjust, do it again. Doesn't matter, you know, what game you're playing, to get a properly balanced economy. And I've been, like, even way back when I was a admin, moderator, developer on a Minecraft server, doing that kind of shit, the economy even back then was extremely difficult to get a well balance on.
Wow, and that's Minecraft.
I'm so sorry that you had to develop on Minecraft.
I helped develop the Yogscast server.
I'm still so sorry that you had to develop Minecraft.
Yeah.
User in your channel is recording.
From what Floppy is saying about the whole cops are getting more and more stuff, he said the last feature he's even added or changed actually made it harder for cops, and that was the gunshot alerts and the drug alerts. So he's been making it harder for cops to respond to those.
Yeah, anything we've added in has been more. It hasn't been making the cops' jobs easier. It's been ensuring that we're abiding by proper things. Like with the whole lock the gate, lock doors thing, I've actually implemented a system. Again, civilians don't see it, but where it tells us who's gone through what door when, and what status they locked it in. Like, I mean, it's just a simple thing to write, but it's ensuring that we're properly doing. That was probably loud. Properly doing our jobs and ensuring that we're, keeping you guys as much RP as we can give you. Kind of. Keeping you guys as much RP as we can give you.
User in your channel is recording.
But the major one was the latest update that I did. The last update I did for cops was it's called the officer roster. It shows how many cops are on duty, what status they're in, so that we don't have officers on duty but like clocked in but not doing anything. So we can see, okay, this guy's taking advantage of the pay system, or we've got 12 officers on duty when there's only supposed to be 8. Like, it's to help police the police, basically.
Okay.
One more thing. What I've seen out of all servers, I'm pretty sure our server is least favorable towards cops. With technology and vehicles and what we can actually do. So
always implement thermal.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Everybody would make a complaint about that. Even though any police force that has a helicopter has thermal on that helicopter.
And we even have rules with the helicopter. Like our camera. You go in a tunnel, we gotta break lock. Things like that. We can only be up in the air a certain amount of time, things like that.
Yeah. When we do get a new feature implemented, that is a tool to help us before it's implemented or before it's used too much. For example, the helicopter, the Mustang, the Chargers. We go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure we write extreme SOPs, not extreme, I can't think of the word, but we write SOPs so that extensive is the word. Thank you, geez. Anyway, we write extensive SOPs so that we can't abuse it and use it to our advantage. Like, I know for a fact the thermal camera, if we're flying above the scrapyard with a thermal camera on, we can see people inside three floors down from the top. So we make sure that we force ourselves to disuse that mechanic, like the lock on when people go into tunnels and stuff. We force ourselves to disuse that mechanic so that it doesn't give us an advantage.
All right, just to touch on the storage containers thing. Floppy said he's put a fix in for it. Any new storage container that goes down should work completely fine. I can attest to that personally, as I put a container down last night and used it on my criminal character. I put something in it and took it out. Worked completely fine. If you have storage units that have items that are bugged in there, then you can put in a compensation request and they can get out.
User in your channel is recording.
And he probably really wants to make a note. Thermals are disabled on the server completely. We don't have them at all. So just letting you all know. And he probably really wants to make a note. Thermals are disabled on the server completely. We don't have them at all. So just letting you all know.
All right. So that covered our storage bugs and wrapped up that question. Um, this one is much the same as far as police go. I'm sorry, police, if you feel like you're being picked on. I'm not the only one who feels our city has become somewhat of a police state, meaning PD are taking their jobs way too serious, and has gotten to a point where RPing with PD is being avoided and is no longer enjoyable, to say the least. It was just last community meeting when I heard someone say that PD is supposed to be dysfunctional and fun. Adhere to this, please.
Comes back to get what you want out of RP. I mean, with what we just discussed, I think we've pretty much hit on why cops are why they are.
Yep, I would agree. That is pretty much all for PD.
User in your channel is recording.
So then, we touched on the storage and some of the bugs. Even though it's nice to see new things coming to the city, it's more important to fix what is broken before adding new. This has been mentioned before. I know that Floppy and others work hard in the background, and we do appreciate that. Maybe hire another developer to help with broken mechanics. We heard Amelia say it, and I know Floppy has said the same. They are really focusing on a lot of the bugs that happened with the last month, and so I know it's been worked on really hard. So they are. I don't really think anything seriously new has been added recently. Correct me if I'm wrong.
User in your channel is recording.
The only thing that was really new that had been added was the proprietor system, but I was working on that well before the wipe. When it comes to bugs with the new system and stuff, I do what I can to, and I'm just speaking for myself, but I do what I can to squash any kind of bugs that pop up. But I mean, there's only so much I can do with my level of talent and what, Floppy has really extensive code when it comes to the inventory system, and I'm sure if I sat down and stared at it for an hour, I could probably read into it, see what it's doing. But because of that and my limited abilities, I haven't been able to really get on them as much. Now I know Amelia herself has been really working on bugs, and Floppy has been as well. We're doing what we can to get the bugs squashed before they get too extensive. But again, it's, summertime's coming out. It's time for the beach and beers and stuff. So. But again, it's, summertime's coming out. It's time for the beach and beers and stuff.
All right. Then let's. Next one is. Local AI is so totally out of whack. The dynamic traffic is fine, but the locals are so incredibly aggressive these days that even walking too close to them can result in you getting punched. They also get super aggressive if you stand still waiting for a traffic light and they bump into your car, even though it's their fault to begin with. Reducing the aggressive levels would be levels a bit would help lots. I have a comment on that. I've noticed that they seem to run into PD and EMS cars more than civ cars too, and attack you for no reason as well. But
so I'm just gonna kind of throw a blanket up there. That's five. That's not even 5M. That's GTA 5.
Just quickly in regards to devs, Floppy would love more devs, and there are a few apps that he's going to be reviewing. Obviously, he can't pay them. He pays for the majority of the server every month. We do get some donations, but most of it comes out of his pocket, so he can't afford to pay people to dev for us. It's all you know.
He's been
Again,
paying out of
speaking for
pocket. Who
again
knows
speaking
how
for
many months?
myself, I don't know about Amelia, or any other developers that want to come on. I don't do it for money at all. I do it because I do it for the community and I do it for fun. Like, I don't expect to get paid a single cent.
And
Also,
our
Cryo helps.
our end, we haven't changed anything with AI. We haven't touched AI behavior at all. Things change in 5M updates occasionally. But personally, we haven't touched any code when it comes to AI.
If you think you're having a problem with AI, just again being brash, you have the brain, they don't. Use it.
And I have a feeling, because it's, cop cars and EMS vehicles that are get a lot more aggressive towards. I might have something to do with the car model, because they're not stock cars; they're modded cars, correct? Maybe they have a different registration, hitbox registration. I don't know. Yes, and majority of majority of locals hate cops, and EMS we get yelled at and sworn at all the time. Yes, and majority of locals hate cops, and EMS we get yelled at and sworn at all the time.
All right, sorry guys. Next, sorry, I was chasing my daughter, so I'm like out of breath now. Let's see.
User in your channel is recording.
Legion Square. It's kind of frustrating when we drive by and over half the server is at Legion Square. They wonder why cops clock out. It's because nothing is happening because everyone is at Legion Square. We had a situation today where 14 people sat at Legion Square. There is no RP in that. We have people in queue waiting to get in-game and RP, but can't because people just get in to sit at Legion Square all day. I get people want to meet and talk, but half the server is sitting there all day. People could be doing something with those slots. Another one. Where is it? We had an issue today with 14 people sitting at Legion Square doing basically nothing other than talking for a very long time. The issue with this is we also had people in queue trying to get into roleplay, but 90% of the server is just sitting there not roleplaying, which then pisses people off in the queue, especially when they see them doing it on streams. I'm all for gatherings. It just looks bad that we have everyone in one area doing nothing. Nothing makes the server look bad to new people coming in trying to see what the server has to offer. Some of the suggestions for it were start ticketing for loitering if caught idle chatting in Legion for a while, or limit how many people can be there. Just on Sunday this weekend, 14 plus were caught doing nothing. People should know better RP wise that killing or wrong one. Yeah, actually all three of the comments were for ticketing people. Which we know.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure there's a fine, but no jail time for a loitering ticket. Don't know.
Yeah, so I've actually looked into that myself, and right in the laws of San Andreas or whatever, San Andreas Code of Law, it actually states under loitering that sticking around, a bit of paraphrasing, hanging around anywhere for an extended period of time, except at Legion Square. So, That being said, I, as a cop, would love to hand out to every single person a loitering ticket. And I've done it before, even at Legion Square. However, because the San Andreas Code of Law and the DOJ basically says that it's legal to hang out there, our hands are tied. So you need to get on to the DOJ, maybe Zeke can speak up, and have that portion of the Code of Law taken out. Because I 100% agree. I hate seeing people loitering there. Speak up and have that portion of the Code of Law taken out. Because I 100%. By the way, I transitioned from working on a Jeep to towing something.
Is recording.
By the way, I transitioned from working on a Jeep to towing something.
All right, so I know this thing with Legion has been brought up before and keeps getting brought up. Again, it ties into the whole economy thing, and why we don't want it to be spend a day grinding, own a car, own an apartment, and then have nothing to do, because when people finish what they want to buy, all they do is stand around and do nothing.
Cleo makes a very valid point. You guys all grind very quickly to get, the cars and the apartments and stuff like that. And then after you have that, I mean, there's nothing else really to do, is what's going on.
It's been like, so the wipe happened. There was weeks of everyone just not RPing, grinding money constantly, so they could buy their cars, buy their apartments, blah blah blah. And now, now it's starting to already look. Last couple of days, people have got cars, people have got apartments, and now they're like, okay, well, let's just stand around and talk.
Yeah, yeah, like Leo said, the first couple weeks after the reset, Legion Square was a ghost town, and thank God. But now that people are buying the apartments, buying their sports cars, it's going back to pre-wipe where they say there's nothing to do. Well, there's plenty to do. It's just that you don't want to do it. Someone has said to me, I'd rather not play Trucking Simulator. Well, learn to RP then.
Have you guys watched other people RP, like the really good ones? They use no mechanics. They just use talent. Have you guys watched other people? Like, here's an example. Classy Packs. He did a salesperson for houses. They can't even sell houses. He's been doing it for weeks. He's been very successful at the roleplay. So, I mean, it's there. You just gotta think outside the box.
And regarding legal jobs, just give us ideas.
The mechanics are there to assist you in your RP. It's not there to make your RP. You're the one making the RP. It's like improv with a box of props. You make the story, you make everything that's there. The props are just there to assist you with the story that you're creating. You make the story, you make everything that's there. The props are just there to assist you with the story that you're creating.
Sorry, was reading the chat. So yeah, as much as the money and like cars and stuff are helpful, like there's so much to do. Like, just thinking for myself, I didn't care like about getting those. With my character Harley, I spent weeks walking from Los Santos all the way to Grandma's house, like, because I didn't, I didn't have money for a car. I didn't want a car. I role played that. It doesn't matter if you can just create good role play and find that story, that good backing, which is why we asked you guys to create bios in the first place, so you guys had backstories to build RP on. That was that point. We want good RP. We want to be one of those top servers. And so, these things that we do, as much as you guys find bios annoying and obnoxious or whatever, they were just implemented to help you guys build a solid backstory to build those stories on and be an RP server, so that we can have that. We don't, it's all there. You don't have to grind. I mean, realistically, to survive a storm, you only need like a couple $100,000 or a couple thousand. If you have a car, need repairs or anything like that to survive. You don't need, this, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to make it in RP. So that's my 2 cents on that.
So, just to kind of continuing on the RP side of things, I've heard a lot of people say that the reason they're leaving Rev is because of the RP. Well, if you're leaving a server because of the RP, then obviously you're not trying to bring that level of RP up. Like, people are abandoning ship rather than trying to bail it out, essentially.
Be the change in RP that you want to see in the server.
Exactly. Lead by example. If you want to be on a server with better RP, you yourself have to have that better RP. If you've tried to do better RP for weeks or something and it's still not to where you want it to be, then I can understand. But if everyone just, flees because the RP is crap, then, that's on them. Like, they're obviously not contributing, and obviously they're not contributing to the RP.
Like, just as an example, yesterday Nick and I planned out a robbery for about 3 or 4 hours. We had this robbery planned. Yes, it didn't carry out the way that we would have liked it to because there was other stuff going on, but it's nice to have the opportunity to RP a story that is planned and that other people will see. And my mic, what's wrong with my mic? Hopefully we'll encourage other people to, think before they act for some things.
I mean, if it really comes down to it, and you want to learn how to RP better, I mean, not to take people away from our server, but go and watch your family for a little bit. They have amazing RPers. Go and watch some people on NoPixel. Like, if it comes down to that, like, again, not trying to drive people away from our server, but if that's the kind of RP you want, bring that RP to our server. Like, I had lots of offers to go elsewhere to develop, but I turned every one of them down because I wanted to help this community.
And where did I see that? What Monty said, restrict your character. Like, my character, he won't buy supercars or anything like that. He drives an 80s truck Bobcat, so...
Yeah, same with Rob. Like, the only vehicles Rob has ever had has been muscle or a truck. Yeah, same with Rob. Like, the only vehicles Rob...
And I know some people won't even carry a gun, no matter what, because that's how their bio is, their personality. They won't, people can adapt, that's fine. People learn experiences and learn from those experiences, but yeah, one of the reasons for the bios are we're trying to help you guys get that RP that you want by making you think about your own character's RP.
I think Floppy mentioned it in one of the previous community meetings, but he basically said he wants like 5 rules, and essentially what they were is your character follows back story that you have, And if it strays for whatever reason, it better be a damn good reason. Your character follows back the story that you have, and if it strays for whatever reason, it better be a damn good reason. Now, excuse me, I gotta go change someone's tire.
Have fun with that tire.
Have fun.
Be safe.
Excuse me, I gotta go change someone's tire.
Have fun with that tire. Be safe.
Okay, metagaming needs to be stopped. People are claiming, oh, well, it's because it was streamed. That's why we can use it. It's gotten to the point that a lot of streamers are thinking of not streaming anymore due to the metagaming, especially when it's coming to big storylines. It just sucks because a lot of us stream and share our content. Metagaming is against the rules, but it's also really hard to catch and report, and we understand that. But if you feel something's been meta, please do report it so that we are aware of a situation. I don't exactly have or know any comments for this one, so I'll leave it to our other staff members.
I got the short and sweet comment for this one. If you didn't learn it in the game, in character, you can't use it. That is metagaming 101.
It again comes down to basically everything we've discussed for the last like 30 minutes. Better RP, you know, exactly like Tom just said. If you didn't learn it in game, don't use it. Like I enjoy reading the character journals, you know, that have been posted. They're very much just stories to me. And these are characters that I may run into, but I've never used any of the information. I'm usually, you know, oblivious. I'm like, oh, who are you? You know, and stuff like that. It's not hard, I don't think. Maybe I'm just lucky or something. But really, if you're not learning who these people are, what they're about, or anything like that in game, then you should not know that information and you should not use it. That is solely the definition of metagaming. Or at least I think it is. Pretty sure it is. But so any other?
Like, I watch streams all the time, Revolution streams, and when I go in game, I just pretend I don't know any of that. It's really not that hard.
Please don't take away somebody's creative freedom like that. Like, if our streamers start to feel discouraged or like they will constantly be meted, then they're gonna stop streaming. We're gonna have fewer people streaming the Revo community, and then we're gonna have less people coming and enjoying this awesome server. That's, you know, that's just it right there.
User in your channel is recording.
One of our first big meta problems we had is cops did have an informant, had thorough investigations for weeks. Somebody metagamed it through a stream. It blew the rest of that story up. Like, sorry guys. It blew all that up. Like, it ruined everything for months to come because of the metagaming. I mean, lots of times I have to mute my stream during investigation talking just because the meta is so bad. I have to mute it, even though it's part of the story I want to share to everybody, but I can't because it gets leaked almost instantly.
Yeah, apparently there are people that know more about the V storyline than Cleo in game because they learned it somewhere. Not sure where, but
Speaking on that, guys, the only two officers outside of command that really know about that are me and Doyle, and neither one of us have said a single thing. So if anyone's telling you something about it, it's probably meta.
And then,
Alright.
you know, some things can be scripted. Not everything has to be improv. Like a little bit of meta, like before you get in game, say like, let's meet over here, and then we can start our RP story for everybody type deal. If that makes sense.
Like, when I brought Thea in, I kind of gave Tavis an idea that I wanted to do something, but he really had no idea how I was going to do it or how it was going to play out. But we had a good base, and so there was some, you know, information shared between us. And like I had to send documents to like Cleo and stuff and be like, hey, this is what I need you to play off of and stuff for that story. So like there was other information that had to be shared in order for a story to take place, which yes is still meta, but it was like a willing kind of just to help a story develop. See, and that's what's really hard. It you know, I think it still falls under the definition of meta to plan RP, but we it's one of those gray areas where I think as long as it's yeah, not completely planned, it's fine kind of thing. Always we want role play over role play. So I mean, we just all try and do our best.
Just to go back to what Rob brought up a few minutes ago with the rules that Floppy was talking about. So essentially, what Floppy would like to do is have it so that rules short and simple. Is, you know, one would be admins have final decision, obviously. Two, if you deviate from your character's bio, then you better have a good reason. So if your actions don't reflect your character's history, then you'll be punished. And as an example, we have a crazy little rata running around. You know, he's shooting people that he's got beef with, etc., etc.
User in your channel is
That
recording.
sign ties into his bio. If you've got someone, for example, that their character is essentially a pacifist, you know, they don't want to get in trouble, they try and avoid this and that, and they suddenly go on a shooting spree, then that would be a violation. And then 3, obviously, no excessive racism, sexism, anything of that sort. 4, bring the role play you expect from others. So touches on, you know, be part of the solution, not the problem. Don't just abandon ship if you don't like the way it's going. And 5, no cheating, no exploiting. 6, no matter, and that would be it. Short, simple, a lot more freedom. But to do that, we need the community to.
Everybody needs to play along. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need trust.
Definitely, you know, 100% agree. It comes down to you guys. Comes down to all of us and how we perform. You know.
And just to clarify, this isn't something that is active now. This isn't something that we have done. This is just something that Floppy would like, something that a lot of us would like because it gives more freedom to roleplay. But as I said, it needs the community to play along.
just to try and finish this up.
User in your channel is recording.
Couple things. Looks like Floppy will need to address.
User in your
So
channel
I'm gonna
is
touch on
recording.
some. There's the link one last time, too.
Would you have a chance to fine tune your bio before it's enforced? Your bio is always evolving, yeah.
Like, I know for both of my characters, I use it, for Harley, it's letters home, which show her evolution of character, as well as letters to John and Scooter. And then, for Thea, it's very much her journal and kind of the battles she's been dealing with and how she's evolving. And so the bio is different to the journals, but for me, like, I have my very basic bio of who she is, but the journals and letters also tell her backstory and show how she's evolving. My characters are evolving. Yes, Cleo. So
bad.
It it really is up to you how you do it. But yeah, it's always evolving. You can allow for different bio entries. So if you come across an event that is changing your character, if you are doing something in the city that is changing who you are, just write down that event and how it's affecting your character and why you're evolving. Does that make sense? So, floppy curio. It's even weirder. Anyways, there is that. Okay, sorry guys. One trying. Let's see. Is it possible to be able to /request EMS in any downed state if a local passes by, so we don't have to rely on the chance of a civ walking by and seeing us? I think this is like for when you're like obvious. This would obviously be very much a trust thing, like, and people would be able to tell that, like, if you're up on Chiliad, you know, it's always a trust thing, I think. But I guess it's just trying to make sure that it's not breaking rules.
Like, example, let's say you fall down a cliff and you're in a gorge where no one's even going to see you. Don't request EMS. If you're on the trail and a couple locals walk by, request EMS. That type of thing is what we're talking about. I just want a general statement, what you guys think of it, if we should allow it. Because I saw examples today, you know, Harley here, she was passed out by her ambulance in the middle of a busy bridge. A civilian would rarely drive on this bridge. Would she be allowed to request EMS? Because there's so many dang civilians or locals driving by.
Okay.
So I'll bring it up to the admins. I'm sure it would be a thing because it makes sense.
Yeah, and that's really what we're saying is we should be a thing, but it would also be a trust with you guys that you would do that RP, that you'd only use it in an area where a local is actually going to see you. Okay, if you're kidnapped, I assume that's what you're meaning, Elliot. If you're kidnapped and like shot in the leg and left for dead or whatever, or it's what I keep saying. It's up to trust, like that you're actually going to be faithful to this what's the word I'm looking for? This treat, I guess. I can't think of the right word. That you won't abuse it. You will actually take it to heart and only use it in a situation where a local is passing you by, kind of thing.
It's a case-to-case basis, basically.
Yeah.
User in your channel is recording.
I didn't lose my things when I took airlift today.
You don't lose money.
No, I had all my items too.
I know, but you've never. It's been a while since you've lost money when you respawn.
Yeah, but I don't know what. I mean, there was also a situation with airlift where somebody got like 8,000 cuts from taking the airlift. So, yeah, that's what I thought.
I think Amelia was working on that. Basically, you'll start getting cuts. If you see the little GPS on the bottom right flash red, you're getting cuts somehow.
Yeah, don't run out of breath out of water. You'll be screwed.
Ask Sean Callanan and everyone who's gone swimming.
Yeah.
Even in 2 feet of water.
There was also the question of EMS. Is there any way or plan for EMS to have the ability to maybe apply medical treatment without charging the injured with government debt? Due to the fact we were tending to many wounds suffered from a bug in-game or a game crash or kraken, etc. By the time we heal them or bring them to the hospital, they've paid $1,000 for medical treatment on some occasions. I'm curious if there's any plan on how to address this. Perhaps EMS treatment not costing money and only having hospital treatment costs money.
Well, honestly, what I find funny is when I bandage myself, it costs me money. That's what's weird.
If on that,
there's a way around that. If you
yes,
if you
bandage
use
yourself
bandages,
if you use the bandages through the injuries menu, it'll cost money because it uses a different programming. If you go into your inventory and apply them, then it won't cost you money. Only if you're doing it to yourself.
Okay.
so as far as that one goes, I mean, we can definitely take that up in our next staff meeting or something and throw a discussion out about that. Towing impound working incorrectly.
I don't know about you guys, but my tow script works fantastic. No, I'm kidding.
The medical always costs money. Medical costs, jail times, and fines are too little per what? Yeah.
So the next subject of the towing. I don't know why, but towing itself is really finicky. I've tried to use the tow trucks that have just the hooks on them, and on my test server they work fantastic. On live server, they don't work for crap. Floppy thinks it could be an issue where, because you're not the host of the server, it doesn't work out properly. I know it's really frustrating, and I've gone through all kinds of tow scripts to try and make it work properly, but it's just basically come down to, I wish I knew how other servers did it so that I could see what the hell they're doing. But yeah, it's just like all these suggestions of people have suggested, delete that vehicle and make a new vehicle and do this and do that. And trust me, I've done all of it, and it all turns out the same. Works fine on my server, get to live server, and it doesn't work out. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to fix it. Don't know what would fix it. And the towing issue has been an issue since I've been on the server, which is almost a year now. So it's not just a new thing, it's a long ongoing annoyance.
Will the new player experience be adjusted by any chance? I want to know if there's any plans on adjusting the new player experience, as it is very rough for new players to do much when starting out. Floppy adjusted our starting income
by like 3 times.
Yeah, and when you start in, after the wipe, like your first time in, it directs you to the job center. Or at least it should. Pretty sure it still does.
It does.
Kind of get you started.
User in your channel.
Again, it really boils down to RP. Like, when I first joined the server, I went around asking people, hey, what do I do this? How do I go? Blah blah blah. If new people don't want to RP out and reach out, make the connection, then that's up to them. However, as established members of the community, if a new person reaches out to you, don't just shun them away. Like, invite them in, be welcoming, be like, hey, so yeah, the way you do that is this. If you need any more help, you can always reach out to me this way, that way. Like, if they ask for a ride somewhere, I mean, if they're brand new to the server and they want to RP, then give them a hand. Like, I understand that, trust me, as a cop, I understand that there's a lot of idiot new people that all they want to do is GTA Online. But
yeah,
we didn't get here. You guys didn't get to sitting in a community meeting by being here the whole time. You're all brand new at one point in time.
I was gonna say, let's say you're in the Vargos gang and stuff, and a new person comes up to you. You don't have to break your character and be all nice. Yeah, you know what I mean. You don't have to be all nice about it, but you can send them in the right path, more or less.
I mean, I had a couple times with at least 3 characters since I've become EMS, like picking them up at the morgue. I, tell them, oh no, the owner doesn't like people going there, so he laces the place with razor blades. You have to go to a clothing store, and I take them to a clothing store, tell them how to get there, and just kind of lead them in the right direction. And if they ask for, where jobs are or something like that, I'll direct them to get driver's license and stuff. So it is possible. I notice when new players are asking in OOC, what do I do? A lot of people get really, no offense, snipey and rude about it. You can politely suggest that they go, if they're having a problem, where to look on the forums or something like that. You don't have to be rude and be like, oh, well, read the rules. And because somebody asked, what's the speed limit or something like that, and then I don't remember who said what, but it was all like, maybe you should read the rules. And it's like, okay, yeah, they could have read the rules a little bit better, but you didn't have to be rude about it. You can just direct, oh, you can find the rules, or you can find the speed limits in the rules, or, you know, whatever.
Which I could see that as an issue as well, because, you know, they can read the rules, and then they see on the street sign that says 35, so they're confused.
On a side note to that, by the way, if there is a staff member present in the server, support on up. Let them deal with those situations. Because then when we have civilians responding to that, like 4 or 5 of them will also respond, and it just clutters OOC chat and may direct the person to not the right resources. So if there is a support member in there, they are the ones who are supposed to be handling those kinds of requests and politely directing them to either the forums or where they can get help.
On that note, if someone does join the server and does happen to say, how do I get toggle vibe on my screen, do not type in global, read it, or some other smart ass remark.
Again, let a support staff member respond to them, because they're the ones who know how to direct them. And I'm not saying you guys don't know how to direct them to the proper resources, but they're the ones who should be responding to those, not you guys.
Because it, you know, when you get rude and snarky like that and stuff, these new players aren't going to feel very welcome to our community. And it's going to put a very bad light on the kind of people we have here. You guys aren't bad people, and we don't want to see that. So,
some of you aren't bad people.
You know.
What? Sorry.
Crane, you're not muted.
Damn it. Sorry.
Anyways, so just if you guys could, you know, just like Creighton said, let us staff handle it, so that it's handled correctly and politely. Last two, I'm sorry guys. What do you need to do to get a ride along? If people ask, they don't get a straight no. They say, I need to talk to someone about that. Who do they need to talk to?
For PD, if you want to ride along, you have to specifically ask a command member for your ride along if you do not have an active PD app, because they are the only ones authorized to do it.
And every situation is going to be different every time you ask. There could be a lot going on. We don't want you guys getting hurt because that's our responsibility. Maybe they just don't want to, but I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Like, yep, it is command only. That's true.
This one's just a feedback again about our RP. It seems like it keeps coming down to the same statement, but I would just like to have people stop RPing as the worst versions of themselves. IRL, no one really would just scream F you to the police and be extremely rude because they are trying to get out of the ticket. There have been so many times that people will just be rude for no reason, just to be trolly and obnoxious. I feel it is borderline fail RP unless you are like Vagos or a gang that has a real RP reason for being rude to cops.
We're not even really that rude to cops as Vagos.
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, you are. You're the biggest bullies.
F the police and stuff. Saying F the police because you got a speeding ticket? Come on, that's just stupid. That's, I mean, in my eyes, that's complete failure. Because you brought it on yourself. We don't go out actively hunting down people who are breaking the law. Okay, we do. But, you know, if you break the law, that's on you. If you go to jail, that's on you. It's not like we're forcing you to do it. And if you get caught doing it, obviously you're a terrible criminal.
If people think it's a cop state, well, probably because there's a lot of criminals. That's the basics of it. We're trying to stop crime. That's our job. to keep order and peace.
And then I realized there was one other that I forgot, but it again is still, it comes down to you guys and the RP that you perform here. Why is it that people would kill and kidnap for simply snitch telling cops information? People
Bitches
should
get
know
stitches.
RP wise that killing or kidnapping for stupid shit makes no sense at all. This has happened to me like every day now. I can tell a cop what happened and everyone will come after me and try to execute me, and that just ruins the fun for me personally. Realistically, you wouldn't execute someone for telling the cops that he rammed your car or whatever. So, you know, people do get tired of the same kidnap and killings and sheeple that we get sometimes. Be creative, be unique. There's so many ideas out there, so many possibilities.
You can even learn off other people here.
And the other thing is, too, going off of that, in addition to something you talked about earlier, metagaming, I've seen many times where police have had confidential informants, and they've either had to mute and black out their stream, or they didn't, and that information got netted. Like, you can't, it's frustrating. Like, I myself, 99% of the time I'm on the server, I'm streaming. And I feel like I can't have a good storyline or a confidential informant without it having the potential of being metagamed. Like, there's stuff I've introduced for EMS that I have told nobody but PD and EMS because I know for a fact it's going to get metagamed and used and abused against them. But on the topic of informants informing PI stuff or PD stuff, like, yeah, if that's someone's storyline, allow them to have it. If your storyline is to murder them for it, then maybe you should go to jail for an indefinite period.
Bad meta helps no one. It just ruins storylines and ruins the RP even for the person metagaming.
Yeah.
It's just basically trying to win a situation, and it's just bad overall. It completely discourages someone from doing anything further from that point.
Yeah, we can't even have undercover cops just because of the whole meta thing.
You have to think about, what if someone was metagaming your story, and now you're pissed off because you can't even do your story, or your story gets completely interrupted, and you could have had like a 6-hour story, but now it's down to 30 minutes because someone screwed you over. You're going to be pissed off. Everyone else is going to be pissed off. It just ends horribly for everyone. It's not something you should do ever.
A couple of weeks ago, or months ago, when I went off of being a cop, basically what happened was I went essentially undercover, kind of, so that I could straighten out PD, I guess we'll call it. And I didn't stream a second of it because I knew for a fact that it would come back to the rest of PD and to everyone else. The fact that I was doing this, and I was essentially spying on PD to straighten things out. And like, when I have to preemptively, stop streaming to do that. Like, I stream because I love streaming. I love sharing interactivity with everyone. But when I have to cut that off so that I can do a storyline, that's just not good. That's a horrible thing to have to think of a community.
So that is all we had on the feedback forms. And then if so let's see here. Next community meeting will be on June 10th. Probably not going to do focused meetings this month unless you send me a request asking for them. So trying to figure those out. We'll have a staff meeting beforehand, so I will post another feedback form leading up to the staff meeting so that you guys can submit stuff for staff to discuss, and then we will come to the community meeting with information. And I think we're all good. Thank you everyone for coming. Sorry it wasn't as quick and as efficient, but we do appreciate you taking the time and coming and helping us build a great community. We do enjoy RPing with you guys, and we hope the same. And we hope we can do well for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you guys for coming.
You were banned from the server. Your channel was edited.
Wait, am I not banned? Hello?
You think you're trolling, but I love that song.
User in your channel was banned from the server.
You are now.
God damn it, Tom, doing bear puns.
Are they really puns, or are bears out to kill us?
No, he was being a dick. 100% dick. All right, I'm gonna go find some food.
Enjoy your food. IKEA meatballs.
Well, I went to IKEA last week, and I almost did get IKEA meatballs.
Most successful YouTube stream ever.
Speaking of stream, any stream again.
Wait, really? I thought only Floppy had access to it.